Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Seema Balayan. So in today's session, we are going to be discussing about fluid balance. I think majority of you do understand that what a fluid balance station comprises of and what is required for you to do in the fluid balance. And I'm sure that almost all of you in your professional life, you would have gone through fluid balance and the input-output charts. And in one way or the other, you would have completed a fluid balance chart. Although fluid balance is a very, very simple station, there is a surprisingly high number of people who do make mistakes in fluid balance. I think that that is majority of the time, time pressure or nervousness, and also the information about a few of the things and how you can plan out your completing of the fluid balance chart and how can you make sure that you fill it out correctly. So I think these are few of the things that why people find fluid balance a little bit difficult. But we will go through it, and hopefully by the end of it, you will have a better understanding of fluid balance and you would not be making silly mistakes in this one. Okay, let's go then. So a little bit about the fluid balance as a station. So it is a silent station. You will get 12 minutes to complete this station. And in this 12 minutes, you will require to complete one fluid balance. So you will be given a scenario. And in the scenario, it is going to be in a table format in which it will be given as the patient's total fluid intake and output, which you will have to divide it according to the hourly basis as per the fluid balance, and you will have to complete a fluid balance chart. You will need to use a black pen to complete the station. Again, make sure that your writing is clear and legible and you complete all of the aspect. So please do not rewrite or overwrite or cross out if possible, and a single cross with initial on the top is acceptable. So the marking criteria, if we make ourselves aware of what the marking criteria is for fluid balance, again, it's a simple marking criteria, but important one. So please, let's go through this marking criteria. So first and foremost is obviously the handwriting should be clear and legible, because if you are not able to read, then there is no point. You should be able to accurately transpose the information onto the fluid balance chart. You need to calculate the fluid intake balance accurately, and same that you will need to calculate the fluid output balance accurately. And then you need to calculate and document the total fluid balance accurately. So you will need to calculate first the total intake, then output, and then you will have to subtract the output from the intake, and you will get an answer. Now that answer is going to denote whether it is a negative or a positive balance. So you need to make sure that you are working out that one correctly. So, and if you are crossing out anything, you need to make sure that the strikeout errors retain legibility, because it's important that we are able to see that what was written underneath. And then you need to make sure that you print and sign your name on the chart. Now the red flags are, these are the points where if you are not doing those points correctly, those will result in a failure. So the red flags for this station are that if you miscalculate the total fluid balance, denoting incorrect negative or positive balance, I'm sure that all of you will understand. And another red flag is that it is something that your assessor noticed while they are doing the assessment, that there is some issue which would have directly harmed the patient. So these are the two red flags for this station. Now this is, I'm giving you an example of a completed fluid balance chart, but this is basically how a fluid balance chart is going to look like. So if we go through various aspects of this fluid balance chart, you will see that there is on the very top, you will see that there is a place where you will have to write the name of the patient, you will have to write the date and the hospital number. Majority of the time, this section might already be completed when you are given the fluid balance or fluid balance chart. After that, if you look at the fluid balance chart, it is divided into two aspects. One side is input and the other side is output. And then there is on your left-hand side, if you noticed in the blue column, there is the times which are given. Now, it is usually a 24 hours fluid balance chart that we normally work on. And that can start from various time like some of the charts, they can start from 7 o'clock, some 8 o'clock, but majority of the time they will be starting from 8 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock the next day. So, and it is an hourly chart. So it is going to be like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and so on and so forth till we reach the 7 o'clock next day. So then again, if you look at the input, if you focus at the input, it is divided again into a few different parts. So there is the input can be from various ways. So you can have an oral input, there can be an enteral intake, or there can be a parenteral one. And in the parenteral one, it is basically the IV fluids that you are going to be getting. And in the end, if you notice the green column and the pink column, in the green column is the place where you are going to be adding the total hourly input. Now, the total hourly input is the one which you are going to be adding your oral, enteral, and parenteral for that particular hour, and you are going to be writing into that section. And then in the pink section is the one where you have to write the total input. So the total input is always going to add the input of the previous hour and of this hour. So you are going to keep on adding the previous the calculated input as well. So as you go along, you are getting your total input as well of every hour and the hours previous to that. So at that time, what is the total input? You can always see that one. So normally in the oral fluid, so in your the question paper that you will get, in that it will clearly be written that the patient has taken oral, a patient has drank a can of juice and which is 200 ml, or he has taken a cup of tea which was 50 ml, or they have had a glass of milk which was 200 ml. So they will give you very clearly that what was the input or the oral intake of that patient in that particular hour. So it will be very easy to figure that out and write that one. Then for the parenteral one, normally you are going to get that patient 1 liter 8 hours, or patient had 500 milliliter of the saline over 6 hours. So in this case, you will need to divide the 1 liter into 8 hours or 6 hours or whatever time span they have given. And according to that, so they would have already given you a start time as well. So it will be that 1 liter of normal saline started at 1400 hours and finished at 2200 hours or 2100 hours will be written. So you will need to divide the total parenteral or the total fluid, IV fluid, into that many hours, and then you start writing it. Now, please remember that if the start time is 1 o'clock, then the first, so you are not going to write, say, for example, if we take this example, the normal saline was actually started at 1300 hours. So when it was started, the first input that you are going to be writing into that, or the first reading that you have, is going to be after 1 hour, because it has taken that 1 hour for the saline drip to give 125 ml, which was supposed to be given as an hourly rate. Yeah, so you will be starting to write down in the next hour. I hope everyone has understood that. So again, I'll repeat that if the saline was started at 1 o'clock, the first reading that you are going to be writing is at 2 o'clock. Because that hour between 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock is the hour where that fluid has gone in as per the hourly rate. Okay, so the same way you are going to keep on writing every hour. So over here, we can see that the total fluid was divided amongst the number of hours, and hence the same amount of fluid was introduced in all of the hours till it was finished. So Then we come to the hourly total. So if when you are going to do the hourly total, I can see that in the 1700, I'm going to add 200 plus 125. So it becomes 325. And in the pink column, you can see that I have added the 200 and 125 becomes 325, 325 and 125 becomes 450, 450 plus 125 becomes 575 and so forth. So in the end, I will have my total input, which is 1800 ml, which is over here. Yeah, so I hope that you have understood that how to complete the input side. Now the output side is totally the mirror image of that. And the output again from your body can be from various ways. Urine is one of the output, gastric losses, bowels. Sometimes you have chest drains or abdominal drains and things. So those are a few of the other ways where the output can be there. Now, for the urine and for others like gastric losses or drains, you will get a clear-cut amount that how much of the urine output was there, or patient passed urine so-and-so amount at this time, and it will be very easy to write. Or even they say that patient vomited at say at 9 o'clock and the total vomit was around 200 ml. So that is even the chest drains and things. So it is very common to give you a correct, accurate measurement of the chest drains and the other drains as well. For the bowels, sometimes there is no record of actually how much was the bowel. So please do not get confused in that you do not have any measurement for the bowels, but you will have to acknowledge that. So say, for example, at 1100 hours, patient opened his bowels. And that is the only information that you have got. They do not say that how much, what was the measurement of that bowels. So under the bowels column, you at 11 o'clock, you are going to just put a tick mark so that you have acknowledged that the bowels were opened at that time. Okay, so please make sure that you acknowledge that and you record that one in your input and output chart. Rest of the principles are the same, that you keep on writing every hourly that what was the output, and then you add up the total hours output, and then the total output you keep on adding, and towards the end you are going to get the total output. So once we have got the total input and the total output, then we are going to be coming at that, okay, what has been the total fluid balance, considering both the input and the output. So you are going to subtract the output from input. And in this case, if we say 1800 ml minus 1700 ml, so your total balance is 100 ml, which is a positive balance because you have taken more and you have the output is less than the input. So that's why it becomes a positive balance. If it was the other way around, that your output is more than the input, then it is going to be a negative balance because your body has lost more than it has gained. That's why it becomes a negative balance. So I hope all of you have understood this chart. It is, again, as I said, a simple chart, but you have to be quite focused to make sure that you complete it accurately and in the first attempt itself. Although you will get 3 sheets of the fluid balance chart, and sometime if you have made a mistake in one of the sheets, you can start a fresh sheet and you can record all of the things in the separate sheet. But normally you will be under time pressure. That's why the chances of you making mistake while copying it from the first to the second are high. So try and make sure that you complete it accurately in the first attempt itself. Now, the top tips for this station again are: please be calm, go systematically, try to complete the input side first, use your calculator. So you will be provided with a calculator. So use the calculator so that you are not under pressure to do mental calculation. Now, rounding off to the lower number if the fluid is in decibel. So say sometime if you are getting, when you are dividing the fluid, sometime it is possible that you are going to get it in decimals if you are dividing into the accurate number of hours. So you will know that it is impossible for you to give more than what is actually in the bag. So we know that as a simple maths principle, sometime when we are rounding off, and if it is anything above 0.5, we just round it off to the next digit. And if it is below 0.5, we round it off to the digit below, in the lower digit. But in fluid balance, even if it is 0.5, you cannot round it off for the next one, because you cannot give more than what is there in that in the fluid. So you can round it off to the lower side, which is always more accurate, because remember that okay, it might not be that maybe you were supposed to give 1000 ml, but you have only given 998 ml. Remember that they're left over in the tubing as well. So you can, it might not be ever possible to give absolutely 100 or 1000 ml to the patient. So there is always going to be few ml which are left over in the tubing. So that should be able to cover up for that one. Again, as I said, that make sure that you mark the bowel opening. If you're using another sheet, check that you have transferred the information correctly. So please do leave a couple of minutes towards the end, so that you can check and you can recheck all what you have done, and you can be more confident that you have marked everything accurately. And last but not the least, print your name and print and sign the name on the chart, so that we know that whose paper is that. And that is all about the fluid balance. It is not difficult at all. You will, although you'll need to practice with a few of the fluid balance, so that you know how to accurately complete it and what are the principles for that. So please make sure that you practice a lot, and it is going to be a very, very simple maths, with which you will also be provided a calculator. So please make sure that you be calm and do it accurately. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this video has really been helpful, and good luck. So see you again. Bye-bye then.